I'm so stressed right now. We have, a situation that we have to deal with, and my cortisol is up here. I am stuck. I don't know if I'm stuck, but I am in a fight or flight kind of emotion that's been the last 3 days that dealing with the situation and how to manage it. And I realized this a while ago, but everyone's life has stress in it. You can never have a stress-free life, but managing that stress is what's important. So here's what I've been doing. So 3 days ago, a stressful situation started, and it has changed, and there are some moving parts. And I realized, so it happened Friday, and then Saturday morning I woke up and I felt one way stressed and one way about the situation on Friday. The next morning I woke up and I'd had a massage on Friday before the stress happened. And the next morning on Saturday, I was very sad and weepy, like way more than normal, because I'm a weepy person. I'm an emotional person, but it was so much worse. And I was like, oh, it didn't dawn on me until many hours later that it was probably because I had that massage and a lot of the lymph got moved around and all that, and lymphatic massage. And so that can happen. But I just felt really sad on Saturday about a situation. And I started to have feelings of like just overwhelmingly being sad. And I thought, well, that's not my normal reaction to something that's stressful. And then I realized about the massage. But I thought, and then I was starting to have some issues with feeling like stuck in fight or flight. And I thought, I need to mitigate this. I need to figure out a way to cope with this stress, because overall I feel so healthy and, I am much healthier. But I thought, this is gonna, how can I manage this? Because no one gets through life without stress. There are events that are going to happen where you have to learn how to and know how to cope with them. And so I was on Instagram and I found a watercolor artist. A friend shared it. And then so I went through it and I was like, this is great. I'm not a super creative person. I have gone through phases of life where I've been, more arts and crafts type person, but I haven't been in that phase for a long time. But after seeing this watercolor artist, I was like, oh, I could do this. This would be fine. And it would be a great activity to do with my family. So I signed up for the online classes so all of us can watch the classes, and we got some art supplies and we worked on that. And we did that as a calm down technique, stress management technique. And that was on Saturday. And then Sunday, I was not nearly as sad and emotional about the situation, but I was having a lot of anxiety about, well, what's going to happen in this situation, and what's going to happen on Monday, and what's going to happen on Tuesday, and a lot of that what if. And I tried to manage it at first. I was trying to manage it by, thinking, well, instead of what if this happens, even if this happens. That helps me a little bit with my anxious thoughts. And because sometimes I can spiral, and just spiral down this rabbit hole of what if this happens? What if this happens? And then I feel overwhelmed. And so then I paralyze, and then I just don't want to deal with it at all. And I put my head in the sand. That's how I have some past behaviors. And I know that about myself, and I didn't want that to happen. So but I still was having trouble managing that stress. So I did more art yesterday, and I did read. And here's what I didn't do. And I'm really proud of myself. I did not turn to food and snacking, like the mindless snacking. I did try to keep busy. I spent a little bit of time outside in nature. That helps me with stress. And I did a little bit of movement, like I did 5 push-ups and 10 squats or something. But I did keep active. I did, make food, and I spent time with my kids. I didn't turn to junk food. I didn't turn to wine. I didn't turn to alcohol. And that would have been something I would have done last year just to take the edge off. The food and the eating, I wouldn't have even thought about it. It would have been a mindless, candy eating, that kind of stuff. And we do have some of that kind of food in the house, but it didn't even dawn on me to do it that way. I did have to manage that, I was eating well, and just, I tried not to do any kind of doom scrolling, which I don't do that much, but I also tried to avoid even like contentious information. You can get that on Instagram, like, oh, you should never do this, and you should always do this, and this is what this group is saying, and this is what this group is saying. And I try to avoid that because that just ramps me up more. And I was having so much just anxiety, like, what is going to happen? So the other thing I did do was I reached out to, I have a small, very close group, and that includes my family, and that includes my friends that are my family. I reached out to all of them, and I, for wise counsel. Dale and I talked about it a lot. My husband and I, we talked about this and how we were going to manage it, and, to have an action plan, to have some steps that we were going to take. And I went to my friend group and to my emotional support, and I talked to them, and, well, what about this option? And we talked about our options. And so that helped also. I felt pretty good last night, but today's the day that we did all of, that we're doing all the meetings and all of that. And I laid down last night. I was really sleepy last night. I even went to bed before the Super Bowl game was over, to read. I always read it. And I was really, really sleepy. I kept yawning. I read and I was falling asleep reading. So, I put my book down. I had rolled over to go to sleep even before Dale came to bed. So, and it wasn't early, but it wasn't late or anything. And I'd been asleep. I felt like I was in a pretty good sleep for about an hour. And then at around midnight, let's just say midnight, I woke up, like, suddenly just was awake. I don't remember that I was dreaming about anything. It wasn't like I was startled awake, but I was awake and my heart was racing. I am having some hormonal shifts. I did get some blood work results back, and I have shifted completely. I am in perimenopause, so some of my hormone levels are off, and it's not my thyroid. But I had to really work hard because I was like awake. It was like, it's time to fight or something. My cortisol, I can't even imagine how high it was. And it was only midnight. So I tried to do box breathing. That does help me also with stress, managing that. And I just took lots of deep breaths, holding them. I did box breathing. So a deep breath in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, hold that for 4 seconds. And I did that over and over. And a lot of times I will fall back to sleep. If that happens, I will just fall back to sleep, but I didn't. And I eventually even had to get up. I never get up in the night. Very rarely do I get out of bed during the night. And I did go to the bathroom and I did get water because I was, I was really hot. I was having a hot flash again, hormones, anxiety, whatever. And I had to pray and pray and pray and just say, take this from me. I don't want this anymore. I need to be able to sleep because I know how important sleep is, especially to middle-aged people, really for everyone. And I did eventually fall back to sleep, and I feel like I had a restful sleep from the end. But I wanted to tell you about that situation. And now that I've been eating carnivore diet for 13 months. I am proud of the new habits that I have. I didn't turn to food when I was stressed. I didn't turn to emotional eating. I didn't turn to, something else to give me a hit, that dopamine hit like wine. I didn't even think about doing that. And I can't believe it. Because sometimes I do still think, oh, well, this would help, this would take the edge off. I do still have some of those thoughts, but I didn't have that yesterday. And I was able to turn to healthy ways to manage stress through art, through being outside, through moving my body, through breathing, prayer. For me, that, that's important. Talking to my friends. And so I am still, still managing the situation. It's not gotten any, we don't have, it's not resolved. But I feel like it's important for everyone to have healthy stress management tools. And now that my metabolism is regulated, I'm insulin sensitive, so I don't have a roller coaster of emotions based on insulin sensitivity or resistance. And I feel like I can manage my stress. I do attribute the way I eat to being able to cope and manage my stress much better from, just from the start, because I don't have huge, like I have high emotions and high, emotion swings from highs to lows based on hormones, but it's not because I'm eating junk food. It's not because I'm eating junk food or, tons of sugar and, I'm not drinking lots of alcohol. I'm not getting that roller coaster from that. So I feel like that's very helpful. And just another benefit of eating a carnivore diet, that's the benefit for me. So I'll keep you posted. I am going to do a video on hormones and lab work, I think. So you can stay tuned for those. All right. Bye.